Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sales Lab. My name is Anthony Grost, host of the program. Today's topic is all about adapting to change in the market. Our guest today is Amy O'Connor. She's senior consultant at Shore Consulting and founder of the Women's Leadership Circle. Amy has a wealth of real experience in terms of developing and delivering programs that train new home sales professionals. So I'm delighted to have her on our program today to talk about adapting to a changing market. Amy, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. Wow, what a difference a year makes, huh?
What a
Um,
difference a week makes. I mean,
oh,
I don't know. We're like doing micro analysis at this point, I think.
well, I just went through. I went through just some headlines and just some economic things. Just in the last 6 months, we've had the fastest rising mortgage rate since the '80s. You know, most mortgage payments right now on the same home are up about 40%. We continue to break record low housing inventories, which continue to fuel competition as well as price increases. You know, price increases, I think nationally, we're up again 20% over the year. On top of this, now we have record housing demand, demographic demand. There was a recent article, a study that came out from Freddie Mac that showed 54 million buyers under age 45 are mortgage ready or near mortgage ready, meaning they're ready to purchase, qualify for a home in this environment. And then just the other day, National Housing Survey showed buyer sentiment at the lowest level, affordability moving this way, and then a whole mixed bag of signals. Now, the market isn't bad, but boy, a lot of stuff going on there, a lot of disruptive forces hitting the market. So, very interested in your opinion. I mean, do you see the market changing right now?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I think everybody sees it changing. And like you said, lots of disruptive forces. But I still think that there's a lot of silver lining here. I think there's a lot of things to be happy about. I think that there's a lot of good things that we can get behind. And quite frankly, in a lot of ways, I still think it's a great time to buy a home. I actually had my nephew over just 2 weekends ago. You know, he's quintessential millennial. He's renting in Baltimore. And I told him I thought he should buy. So I still think that the housing market has a lot to offer the buyers that are out there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the pivot that's happened here is really the education side for the buyers, really educating them on the value of purchasing a home. We see that over and over again. In fact, many markets renting is actually more expensive than buying, even with the rapid increase in mortgage rates. So you work with a lot of different builders out there. You know, what are your builders' concerns today, or what are the issues they're discussing in this environment?
Well, I think that the builders that I work with right now are really trying to figure out what is the right offering to have for buyers. You know, when the market became incredibly constricted, and of course we're still seeing supply chain issues, a lot of the builders that I work with went straight to they weren't releasing homes for sale until frame or for drywall. They wanted to help control that environment a little bit, control costs, be able to set a time frame when a buyer could move in. And now we're seeing that shift just a little bit, where they're thinking that buyers now may want a little bit more choice. We may not be able to help them on a pricing scenario. We may not be able to help them on a supply constriction scenario, but what could we offer buyers right now? And perhaps it is going back and adding in more pre-sale opportunities and giving those buyers a choice on their options again. That's what I see as being one of the big topics right now for builders.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it is a challenge, right? What do we offer? How do we offer it? There's a lot of constraints that builders face in this market that we haven't historically had. So it is definitely it's not just a simple challenge. It's more like a Rubik's cube in terms of figuring out what it is that we do. Have you seen buyer behavior change in this period or over the last couple months?
Yeah, I would say even it's more on a micro level, more even the past couple of weeks, we've seen buyers hesitate in the market. We've actually, it's been interesting. It's like a jagged effect where when we saw interest rates start moving rapidly, we actually saw an explosion of buyers again because they thought, wow, okay, it's actually happening now. Interest rates are adjusting. Let's buy sooner rather than later. So we saw a little burst in the market there. Then we saw after the burst a bit of a tapping, a slowdown that says, whoa, what's happening here? Where's affordability? What does this mean for us? And then we're starting to see that level out even again. But as we see buyer cost and fear increase or buyer inhibitor increase, I think that that's where we're seeing the market potentially slow down a little bit. I don't think, again, I don't know that demand is actually decreasing in a significant way, but we're seeing the buyer behaviorally slow down on their decision making process and lengthen that buying cycle just a little bit.
Yeah, I was talking with a builder the other day and we were analyzing site traffic because for me, that is an indication of buyer demand. And his struggle was while traffic is down, is expected, it's still very busy, but he wasn't getting the conversions. And this is a different topic that I'll cover on the next program. But it's really the missing component there was really educating the buyers because it was an affordability issue for their buyers. And how are they educating? What's the outreach? What's the discussion, to get them to take that next step? So yes, a lot going on there. You have the builder trying to figure out the offering. You have the buyer now taking longer or having hesitancy in the decision process out there. Still a lot of buyers, definitely still a lot of buyers out there, but the game is changing a little bit in terms of how we're selling. Are salespeople prepared for this market shift? And the reason I ask this is we've had a good market for so long. I'm wondering how many have had to sell in a changing market, and really are they prepared to do so?
Yeah. I would say that's really a situational answer. I think some are definitely better prepared to do so than others. As you mentioned, we have had a strong market for quite a number of years and then an insanely strong market. And so you have a percentage of salespeople who have never had to sell in a changing market or in a slight downturn. So it will be interesting to watch that evolution of skill happen there. And what I would say is that, the best salespeople, they don't get prepared, they stay prepared. And so the best salespeople, even in a strong market, continue to hone their skills. They continue to practice. They continue to train, all of these things. Now, we have seen where the skills have had to switch a little bit in the past 2 years, where they had to get really good at a certain set of skills that maybe are not the set of skills that they're going to need to be sharp on if buyer hesitancy continues to increase. And so we'll have to see that shift more towards confidence building. How do we translate for the buyer confidence in the market? In the past 2 years, we haven't had to show confidence in the market. The market gave the buyers all the confidence they needed. But when that confidence wanes, we have to be the confidence replacer. So this is when salespeople really start to earn their money, and they come in and they show that confidence in the market, and they have a very strong why buy now message for their buyers. So I think that the best salespeople are really good right now at replacing market confidence, showing the buyer why now is still good for them, and getting really, really strong at being able to communicate that message.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I love that term, confidence building, because that's truly what it is with buyer sentiment being low right now. Robert Schiller, if you're familiar with the Case-Shiller index, he was asked years ago about housing, what drives the market, and he said it was buyer sentiment. So that's exactly what is needed to create that extra demand going forward, and helping your buyers see the benefits of home ownership, because the benefits are still incredibly strong. So if I'm a sales leader, we have a lot of sales leaders that listen to our program.
Yeah.
How do they need to adjust in this environment? Are there things they should be getting on right now to work with on their sales teams?
Yeah. Yes, I thought a lot about this. The number one tip I would be giving sales leaders right now is, are you doing lead conversion coaching? Probably something you haven't had to do in the past couple of years. The leads were almost converting themselves. Again, the confidence in the market was enough for lead conversion, and we didn't necessarily have to walk our salespeople through how to get buyers over the hump. Well, now that we see the market slowing down just a little bit, it's the sales leader that comes in, and they're having those coaching conversations about lead conversion, and they're having their salespeople take them through the leads that they're working with. And they're asking questions about, how far did you go in discovery? Where did the sale stop? Was there one more thing that you could have done? What is your plan? When are you doing it? Now, that could sound like micromanaging, but I certainly don't see it that way. And the best salespeople don't see it that way either. If we can collaboratively work on lead conversion and capture every sale possible, well, then that's just the best thing for everybody. So getting really into the details of lead conversion and how your salespeople are taking the leads through the conversation, I think that that's going to be the number one thing to focus on if we want to keep sales strong.
I absolutely agree with that. I hear a lot from builders who say, "Hey, my leads are down," and I say, "How many leads do you have, or how many active do you have?" We have 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000, in our CRM, and then I ask them what has been their follow up, or what have they been doing to follow up and nurture those leads, and generally, it's not a lot. And so, exactly what your point is, that we have to get back to having a structured follow-up and engagement with the buyers. Again, the buyers are still there,
Yeah.
and but they're missing that confidence component that you talked about to take the next step forward. So if I'm a salesperson today, and you were my manager, what should I be focused on right now, really, to improve my skills? Or what should I go back in time and dust off a few old skills and bring them out?
Yeah. Yeah. We as Shore Consulting, we like to call it dormant trainings or selling skills, right? Probably dormant training skills as well. There's things I haven't had to train on in a while, but those dormant selling skills, those skills that have sort of got set to the side, like maybe discovery. Maybe we didn't have to ask a lot of discovery questions. The buyer came in, we said, this is the only home we had. They said, great, I'll take it. I don't know that there's a lot of discovery happening there. So getting back to a deeper level of discovery with the buyer, getting used to overcoming objections. Again, with the market being so strong, we saw buyers really accepting whatever was available. And we didn't really have to deal with the objections because the buyer really was like, well, maybe I don't love the home, but that's okay. I'll take it anyway. Same thing with closing skills. I don't know that we were asking a lot of closing questions, getting back into helping buyers into that decision-making rhythm and the closing that we do all the way through, of course, culminating into that final close. So those to me are sort of those fundamentals. And then adding on follow-up. You've mentioned follow-up a couple of times, Anthony. Follow-up again was one of those things that most salespeople don't love to do. It's not the reason why they got into the job. And so when they didn't have to do it, they were like, well, that's better for me. And so maybe we saw that dip away as well. So it's really those big fundamental pieces to get back into. And the other one I would tell you that salespeople really should be thinking about is, can they speak to financing? Of course, we're not asking them to be the financial experts. We have experts for that. But the beginning of that conversation is going to happen in the sales office, where the buyer goes, oh, interest rates, or, oh, gosh, my payment. And if we can't have the beginning of that conversation with the buyer, I think that inhibitor, that fear that they have associated with financing and payments and interest rates, perhaps could keep them from talking to that expert that we so desperately want to get them to. So I think that we got to go back into those fundamental selling skills, brush them off, get really good at it again, and then be able to have the beginning of conversation on a financial discussion with our buyers.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you mentioned it. I mean, of course, I'm in financing, but I can tell you, for the last 10 years, financing has been an ancillary thing. It has not been incorporated or integrated into the sales process. And it's very important today. 91% of buyers finance their new home purchase. And it's not that the salespeople ever need to be loan officers, but they do need to know how to engage buyers around this, and then also integrating the salespeople into the loan officers that they work with into the sales process to communicate is so powerful to today's buyers, because they do give pushback on it's expensive or it's price. But when you really show them or endorse why are they buying a home, then show them the long-term benefits of home ownership, it sells itself. They realize that this is the right decision for them. So, I'm asking builders a lot today to, make financing part of a proactive part of the sales discussion, and it will greatly help their buyers. So, Amy, thank you so much for being on today and for sharing your thoughts with us about the changing market. I know there's a lot going on. Tell me just a little bit about the Sales Leadership Summit. That's coming up with Shore Consulting. That's coming up in July in Austin. Tell me a little bit about the summit and why people should look to attend that.
Yes. Well, and we're planning for, it's going to be our biggest one yet. So definitely you're going to want to be a part of that. Not only will there be speakers that are going to bring you amazing messages that are very relevant to today's market, we're very conscious of the time that you are spending with us and want to make sure that we're giving you the best return on that time. So all of the topics that are going to matter to you right now, we're going to have a variety of speakers. The energy is going to be great. And then not only the speakers on the stage, but the people who are going to be there, the networking opportunities that you are going to have, and the amazing support that we have from, wonderful people like Anthony here. We're all going to be there. We're all going to be there for you to answer your questions, to help you out, and really just have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, I'm excited. I love the event. I absolutely love this event because it helps me so much as a sales leader. It's not just the sponsoring of Shore Consulting. It's actually the learning that gets done there is absolutely amazing. So Amy, thank you so much for being on our program. And to all of you on the Sales Lab, thanks for listening and have a great day.